And welcome back to Evil Line's 10th Alliance Tournament. We have Chokepoint on the field with us, who came out of the last weekend with 8 points, and versus Exiled, who came out of last weekend with 6 points. Both teams are fielding 50-point setups today, and Chokepoint bring another two faction battleship setup. What do you think of these setups, Zestro?
Well, as we're getting further along into these matches, none of the teams we're going to be seeing anymore got wiped out with 0 points last week. But still, 6 and 8 points is not a whole lot. I still think some of these teams should consider handicapping themselves if they want to make it to the group stages. Uh, Now, Chokepoint here brought a nightmare setup, which is weird. I don't know why they would want to bring a nightmare. Having those utility highs are nice, but other faction battleships have been more proven so far, like the Vindicators, the Macarials. Why do you think they would bring a nightmare?
Like I said, the faction highs is really the biggest thing that stands out to me. I think they're going to be a little bit disadvantaged here with the lasers because the Sleipners actually inherently EM is their highest shield resist. Just by default, the shield resist on a Sleipner is 62.5 to EM, so any type of invuln or anything like that is just going to jack that even higher.
And they should know that, as the Sleipnirs and have been the most used ship so far in the tournament. All right, both teams started about 30, and the Macarial and the Nightmare went charging straight ahead at the Sleipnirs and Scimitars, who are pulling away.
Yeah, you're seeing these long range guns. So you're seeing Scorch coming out of this Nightmare, and I'm going to be it's most likely EMP or Phase Plasma coming from the Macarial. So they're Macarial's gonna be using close range ammo. It has that distance bonus on the hull itself, and they're just trying to get this Scimitar down while the Merlins charge after the frigates of the Chokepoint team.
Well, they are right on top of that Scimitar now, and he is tackled. So they are going to be trying to get that Scimitar down first.
Yeah, you're seeing NOS being applied to the Scimitar, which NOS once if your cap is above the cap of the target you're NOSing has no effect. So as this scimitar uses more and more of its cap, the NOS is going to be less effective. But you're seeing a lot of high DPS from these two ships, these two faction battleships. As the scimitar is sinking through armor, he's getting one or two boosts off, but it's not going to be enough to save him. As you see another boost right there, he's going to enter structure and pop very shortly after.
Yeah, so the Scimitar going down is going to be a major turning point here. Chokepoint still barely taking any damage. They lost a Harpy, which could affect their tackling a little bit. It seems like the Exiled ones are going to try to drop those Harpies, eliminate Chokepoint's tackling abilities, and then maybe try to dictate the range a little bit through the rest of this match.
Yep, both Harpies are down now for the Chokepoint team, as well as the Scimitar for the Exiled Ones team. It's you're going to see this high DPS from this Macarial and Nightmare just start pounding on the Sleipners. It's going to be really interesting to see how these ASBs to handle the high DPS of these two battleships.
Right. Even though the logistics is gone, Sleipners still have an impressive tank by themselves, and of course they have the ASBs that everyone has been fitting throughout this tournament. If they can dictate the range and keep those ASBs running, they might be able to hold out long enough to outlast the Macarial and the Nightmare.
I don't think these Sleipners are fitting ASBs. You're seeing no reps. I'm not seeing the rep effect on the ship itself. I think these guys were a standard setup like last year where there was no ASB. I think they were relying 100% on that scimitar to get them wrapped up.
I think that was a mistake. Putting your entire success around one linchpin ship has never proven to be good in the Alliance tournament, as no plan survives contact with the enemy. But we see
Yeah,
that Sleipner, he's taking deep armor damage, he's in structure, and he's about to die.
yeah. This is a very odd setup. We've seen the ASB in almost every single match this tournament, and then these guys chose not to bring it. They lost their scimitar early. That was all their rep. They used that ASB slot to fit a little bit more resistance, and it did not pay off.
So, yeah, we see the Sleipners. They're heading down towards the bottom of the arena, trying to pull range a little bit, but pretty good range on the faction battleships that the Chokepoint team is fielding.
Their really only shot was to eliminate one of these battleships off the field, lower that DPS. That way they couldn't get all that DPS onto that scimitar, because the scimitar with its ASB was tanking pretty decently for a while there.
Mm-hmm. There's a little frigate fight going on down at the bottom of the arena as those Merlins try to jump on that Maulus that's just trying to get away from them, while the battleships and the Sleipner pound on each other towards the middle of the arena. Interesting seeing a Maulus. I don't think anyone's brought a Maulus so far. They have a bit of a damp bonus, but this isn't one of those matches where the E-War is going to matter too much at all.
Yeah, I think we actually have seen one Mollis so far in the tournament. And you're seeing DPS start being applied to this Macarial.
Yeah, I still think the Merlin's been the frigate of the tournament for its combination of having 4 mid slots, high DPS, and being really fast. I don't know why anyone would want to bring one of these other ones like a Maulus. I don't think it really complements their setup too well here.
I definitely think the real thing for the Merlin is it's 2 points, and with, like you said, the utility slots on it are quite nice.
Yep. So now Sleipner and just 2 Merlins left for the Exiled Ones team, while the Macarial and the Nightmare and Maulus just pound them mercilessly. It's only a matter of time now until that Sleipner goes down.
Yeah, just from flying Macarials on TQ, they have incredible range with their autocannons. I think with Barrage they can head out to 90 or so kilometers. So I mean, they definitely have the range to hit this Sleipner out. As you see the the NOS effect coming from the Imperial again.
Yep, so the Sleipner's now in deep armor. He's going to go down real quick. You said you didn't think they were ASB fit, but I'm definitely seeing some repping on this Sleipner at least. I don't know why that other one didn't seem to have any rep effects going for him. Maybe he had just been recharging that or reloading his ASB while we were looking at him.
Yeah, it could have been that, but I don't really think that was likely because he wasn't taking any damage until after that Scimitar died. So unless he was just running his ASB and running out of charges, even though he wasn't being shot, is the only reason I think I could see that he wouldn't have been activating it. But I'm really have no clue because this one is getting some reps or repping itself some. So
he's pulled pretty far away from the other ships. He's heading towards the edge of the arena. But the faction battleships of Chokepoint have plenty of range. They're able to still hit him this far out.
Yeah, he's trying to kite him. As said, the Macarial has great range. The Nightmare has a Scorch. But the Nightmare is way behind the Macarial, so he might be able to stay out of range of the pulse lasers long enough to reload that booster. As you see his shield slowly trickling back up.
Yeah, he's for being in structure as long as he has been, he's doing a pretty admirable job of staying alive. But now he's on fire and he's smoking, and he's not going to last much longer.
Yep, we're getting closer to the 3-minute mark left in the match, and the last Sleipner just died.
Oof, there he goes. Now just 2 Merlins left on the Exiled one side, and it's just a matter of time until Chokepoint chases him down.
Yeah, it looks like you have that 1 Merlin on top of the Maulus. Maulus is in structure. Maulus is going to go down as the Merlin insta-pops. Wow. And so Maulus also died.
Chokepoint being able to get a full 50-point win against Exiled ones here is going to put him in a much better position of having enough points to advance to the group stages tomorrow. Again, I don't know if it's a good idea to bring a 50-point setup when you had so few points coming in from last week, but being able to take these guys down 100% like they did and having the few points that they did could be enough to get them to the group stages.
Yep, we're about 2 minutes, 20 seconds left in the match or so. And this Merlin, it looks like he's kiting back or kiting around the battleships, trying to stay out of range. The battleships aren't going to be able to catch up to this Merlin, so he's going to do his best to deny them the points. You see the Hobgoblins chasing him, which is it's odd that they didn't decide to pack Warriors instead, just because Warriors have the extra speed to catch up to these frigates.
And as you say that, a full flight of Warriors was just launched and is now chasing him down. So it could be just the drones that end up taking down this Merlin.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for that Merlin. It looks like he's got a small shield rep effect on him, so he's repping that shield.
So he's got a minute and a half or so to deny the 2 points to Chokepoint. I mean, he's just doing it out of spite because at this point his team has no chance of advancing, but he's just trying to deny Chokepoint those last 2 points, which could potentially keep him from advancing to the group stages. It might come down to 2 points the way we've been seeing some of these matches go between today and yesterday. There's been a lot of 50-point slam dunks last weekend. There's a lot of teams that are going to be grasping for every last point they can get to make it to the group stages. Yeah, that cut is a very fine line.
Every single point counts. the fact that they brought a 50-point setup and came into this fight with 8 points already, I could very well not be enough to put them through to the group stages, depending on how the rest of the teams do today and tomorrow.
And just to explain the handicap system, the points you get is not, you don't get handicap points from handicapping yourself by bringing less than 50 points. The bonus that you get comes from the difference between your team's total value and your opponent's total value. So if both teams are trying to handicap themselves, it becomes kind of a game of chicken. Who can bring the smallest team to get the bonus points to potentially advance to the group stages? There's only about 10 seconds left in this match, and yeah, that Merlin's going to stay alive. He's going to deny 2 points to Chokepoint, and I think it would be hysterical if those 2 points prevented Chokepoint from advancing to the group stages.
Yeah, as you see a good volley get off on this Merlin. Is he coming back in range just
nope,
to
that's it.
taunt
The match
the guy?
is over.
Yep.
That's it. And so Chokepoint with a almost complete victory over the Exiled ones. They're going to have 48 points plus the 25% bonus that they get, and that'll do it for this match. We'll see you guys for the next match in about 10 minutes.